Post Commander Mike McNary from American Legion Post 1187. I want to thank you, all of you, for coming out, joining us to honor our fellow citizens and fallen heroes. I will now ask you to write a presentation of the colors of the national anthem invocation. Now our Post Chapel will give us the invocation.
A memorial invocation. Dear Lord, our Father Almighty, we come here today to give and bestow our respect, honor, and praise to all the men and women of all the branches of our military services who gave up their lives to protect and safeguard all our freedoms, and to be faithful and thankful to our beautiful country, America. This Memorial Day, Almighty God, we ask you to bless this memorial service and to look down with favor and understanding upon all the hearts of those who have gathered here today to pay tribute to those who have made the supreme sacrifice for the benefit of all free men and women in our beautiful country. may we never fail to remember the awesome cost of freedom that we enjoy in America because of our American fallen heroes. Grant that we shall appreciate and treasure that freedom and gift and our heritage. Above all, thank the families and parents of our American fallen heroes. Thank you, God, and God bless you. In thy holy name we ask you. Thank you. God bless you.
Please be seated. So I want to take a moment to thank some of our dignitaries coming out today. Lisa Gazelle, our District 45 representative. George, where's he at? There he is. George, our county commissioner. Thanks for being here. And of course, Sheriff Wigley brought his team out to keep us all safe. Thank you, Sheriff, for being out with us. I do want to introduce you to Mayor Jason Gray and Councilman Tim Deeks. But first, we'll have Mayor Gray come up to this one.
Thank you, Mike. We have it's an important day to me. I tell this story every year. Fortunately, I'm allowed some leeway here, so it's nice. It's everyone here knows the importance of Memorial Day and why we're here. My father was a submariner for 10 years. My father was a submarine for 10 years, and he's here at the cemetery. Next week is my mother's funeral here. And she unfortunately never met her father. Her father died in a concentration camp in World War II. And she was born while he was in that camp, and unfortunately never met him. And then my other grandfather, who was wounded twice, survived in World War II. We got shot in the face once and through the hand. So much admiration and just blessings to my family and everyone's families here. It's a very important day. I'm glad we're here and we can observe Memorial Day together. It's because of them that we're doing this. And thank you very much.
I might ask you to stand while the mayor and Cub Scouts from Cub Scout Pack 781 place the memorial wreath as a tribute to our veterans. Thank you. Please be seated. Thank you, Mayor Gray, for his kind words. The men and women who died for our freedom represent the diverse patchwork that is the United States of America. They were rich and poor, black and white, male and female. They came from the cities, the farms, and the suburbs. They were from every ethnicity, background, and political spectrum. In short, they look like everyone here. Their one common characteristic is they all took an oath to die for America if called upon. We can assure that the memories of these heroes and their sacrifices are not in vain. We can ensure that the future generations understand the importance of service, sacrifice, and honor. We can assure through our own community service that our country remains strong and prosperous. Memorial Day is a time that many wear proudly display poppies, not as symbols of what was lost, but reminders of the living legacies. As we gather here today, we're reminded of the words of President Abraham Lincoln in the Gettysburg Address. And he said, "It is for us, the living, rather, to be dedicated here to the unfinished work which they who fought here have thus far so nobly advanced." Today we are living and we are dedicated to continuing the work of those who have gone before us. We are dedicated to preserving the memory of our fallen heroes and declare our unending gratitude and support to their families. So let's take the time to remember and honor the men and women who have given their lives for this great country. Let us reflect on their courage, their sacrifice, and their dedication to a cause greater than themselves. And let us recommit ourselves to the cause of freedom, justice, and democracy, so that the legacy of our fallen heroes will live on for generations to come. We continue to mourn their loss, but most of all, we celebrate their lives. And I'll read the names of the fallen.
James E. Abbott, Harold Adair, George Francis Adams, James Edward Agnew, Thomas J. Aikman, W. J. Alexander, Ralph A. Alvarado, Charles Anderson, Robert M. Anderson, Arthur L. Andrews, Mark Anthony, David E. Archer, Richard Carl Arston, Ronnie H. Ambrewster, Bobby Al Arnett, Julio Arreola, Richard C. Arreola, Richard S. Avinson, Ted Earl Atkinson, Robert P. Bailey, Frank E. Blackshire, F. Henry Barlow, Kenneth Barrett, Lyndall L. Barrett, Lawrence Bates, Dwayne L. Lynn Bean, Robert M. Belfrage, Richard E. Bellamy, Richard Bennett, George Bethanigan, Donald Berg, Thomas David Barry, John Billick, Philip Binford, Jesse Leroy Birdwell Jr., Frank E. Blackshire, Richard Wayne Blackwood, Richard A. Blyce, Richard W. Bloom, Leon T. Blood Jr., Carson A. Blue Jr., Kenneth E. Bockelman, John E. Bogert, Edwin D. Bogey, Sheldon G. Boone, Eldon Lewis Burquin.
Howard Bowling, Martin Bradley, Orville Elton Bramble, Luther E. Brantley, Ronald Roman Brennan, Jesse L. Bridwell Jr., Charles Walter Briles, Wendell W. Brinkman, Michael Stephen Roosevelt, Samuel Edgar Bristow, Dale E. Brock, Wayne Meredith Brower, Melvin L. Brown, Frederick Brown III, Frederick Brown Jr., Cecil D. Royals, Wayman Bryant, Edward Buchanan, Clyde O. Bruckner, Robert Weston Ruger, John Craig Burt, John C. Burt, James T. Campbell, Jimmy Lynn Campbell, Lynn R. Campbell, Robert Charles Cannon, Joseph A. Casino, Nelson T. Cantrell, Clarence W. Case Jr., Harry Case, Harry Cassie, Joseph A. Casino, Patrick Joseph Catafo, Patrick J. Catafo, Roger William Cattis, Jack Lamar Cavender, Joseph B. Sherrill, Carl Christensen, Robert A. Christensen, Harold A. Christensen, Russell F. Clark Jr., Donald Clive, James Richard Cofield, Alexander Collins, Robert Henry Collins.
Charles John Columbi, Anthony Contreras, Charles W. Converse, Max D. Converse, Mars Cordova, John E. Courtney, Michael F. Crawford, Lonnie Lavon Crosby, John Cummings, Russell J. Cummings, Harold T. Gavin, Edward Brian Davis, Harold V. Dawson, Carlo J. DeGrado, John Francis DeLay, Carlo J. Delgado, Jan P. Dennis, Alan Dwayne Dewey, Pasquale Vicentio Jr., Henry J. Dillon, John W. Dillon, Patrick H. Dillon, Richard Dillon, Frank Joseph Doherty, Max William Donahue, Ronald C. Duckworth, Joshua Dreyer, Samuel Dreyer, Charles H. Earl, Francis B. Edmonds, Simon C. Eamon, M. W. Elise, Richard D. Elise, John K. Emerson, Henry Enderud, Richard Enns, Jerome George F., Marvin L. Essex, Benjamin I. Escabel, James F. Etzel, Salvatore Evola, Christopher Robert Farrow, Harris L. Fella, Burton Mario Piquet, Ronald J. Fleener, Edward J. Flynn.
Joseph H. Fortin Jr., Gerald R. Fox, Luann Fox, Bernard A. Francis, George Cedar, Eric H. Daigle, Frank G. Garcilaso, Thomas Garcilaso, Paul Frederick Gardner, William George Garrison, Andrew Garrison, John Garrison, Richard L. Garrison, Thomas Edward Garst, John G., Leo Gilbert Gentry, John Gilbert, Ernest G. Gillespie, Glenn Gregory Green, Harley Lewis Gordon, Keith M. Gordon, Lauren Dale Gordon, Melvin James Gordon, Raymond L. Gordon, Robert L. Gordon, Earl Gregory, Garth Gregory, Gerald Gregory, Kurt Gerald Gribble, Donald T. Bryce, Philip Grillo, Stanley Conant Brown, Edwin D. Gully, William H. Gustafson, Kenneth J. Hall, Vernon D. Halverson, Clifford C. Hamilton, Edward Andrew Hanson, Joseph A. Hanson, Keith Hanson, Ronald E. Hanson, Virgil Lee Harris, Irwin L. Harris, William S. Harris Jr., Fred Hoff, Douglas Hayes.
Jack E. Hayes, Jan Heidreeder, Seth Helberg, Valda D. Henry, Harold J. Herder, Steve Herrera, Alfonso M. Herrera, Gene W. Haywood, John B. Higbee III, Gladys Higbee, Paul F. Hill, Robert Hill, William J. Hill, Clell L. Hinton, John Gothard Hoagland, Alvin T. Hodge, Edwin W. Holton, John N. Hopkins, Gene R. Howard, Harry Don Howard, Frederick H. Puttoff, Joseph J. Hunt, Robert Wayne Hunter, Earl D. Hutton, Dolan T. Hyde, Paul Ilgen, Edward T. Jean Jacquet, John F. Jeffers, Russell Jensen, Francis L. Johans, David Arthur Johnson, George Henry Johnson, Joseph T. Johnston, Ross Johnston, Charles Kelly Jones, Eugene J. Jones, Marlo D. Jones, Robert T. Jones, Tom Fortner Jones, Anton Camper, David Captain, Irwin Kane, John Koch, William Kelly, Lewis N. Kemp, Thomas Kennedy.
George W. Kent, Gerald Kent, James Kenneth Kent, John G. Kent, Earl Ed Kirshner, Howard P. Kilmer, John M. Kidsvader, Charles G. King, Nick S. Polaris, Farrell Lee Constant, Robert Colby, Ronald B. Colby, John J. Persky, Regis Michael Kotvich, Henry Eugene Prince, Arthur Frank Cole, William R. Kruger, John T. Lahendra, Daniel W. Lamb, Jack Lane, Charles H. Larson, Harold L. Larson, Peter Laham, Richard J. Lawrence, Gerald Grant Larson, Edward H. Lee, Clarence Lamone, Camido A. Larone, Lawrence E. Lewis, Gary C. Lindberger, Ernest A. Linkletter, James John Livingston, Anthony J. Garbo, Patrick B. Lamour, Robert A. Longworth, Leroy Joe Lopez, Patrick J. Lucas, Paul Joseph LaBeers, David Lynch, Milton G. Lyon, Russell Mace, Ralph B. L. Mackey, Douglas Charles Madsen, Herbert Floyd Magoon, Daniel Mahoney, John William Malinsky.
James Marr, Joseph C. Marr Jr., Leroy William Merritt, Dr. Joseph J. Martoreno, Howard Milton Marston, Raymond Robert Masters, John A. Mastro Giuseppe, Ronaldo S. Mastro Giuseppe, John Martin, Earl Medina, Michael Medina, Donald D. Matheson, Bernard Matta, Joseph Henry McBride, Justin S. McBride, Robert Etheridge McBride, Gerald McCoy, Frank McCune, James H. McCovey, Kenneth W. McFerrin, Arthur McKillop, Donald Leroy McKinster, John L. Lemons, Nick Lemons, David McMath, Douglas McMath, Robert McMath, John Omar Memon, Merrill R. Merritt, Edward Metzler, Gus Metzler, Donald Edgar Meyer, Frederick Paul Meyer, Otto G. Meyer, Robert R. Michael, Eugene C. Mitchnell, Richard L. Mile, Martin Michelson, Martin Michelson, Stanley D. Michelson, Daryl D. Milas, Laverne Eugene Milligan, Don Milliken, Andrew Meisner, Marion L. Moore, Robert Marrow, and Louis D. Marino.
Joseph Bernard Murphy, Daniel J. Murphy, Melvin Ray Murphy, Richard J. Murphy, Fred Margrati, James Patrick Neal, Keith E. Neal, Kenneth F. Neal, Robert Neal, Claude Dana Neely, Eugene A. Nelson, William Nisson, John Thomas Miller, Charles William Goldwyn, George Thomas Olds, Leonard Olds, Ezra J. Olenberger, Henry Olson, Raymond Olson, Billy Mac O'Brien, John Daniel Orcutt, I. Dale Orendorff, William Ostoff, William Ostoff Jr., Dale William Owen, Alvin Pavlik, Gilbert Holm, Luther Oswald Holman, Dennis A. Holman, Francis J. Papina, George Eugene Parker, Thomas K. Pierce, Clarence C. Pearson, William Thomas Penn, Donald Perez, Donald Peters, James Howard Peters, Bernard Peterson, Everett C. Peterson, Tola P. Peterson, Louis W. Petrie, Harrison George Phillips, Cortland Phillips, Lanny Ray Phillips, Raymond Phillips, Charles Pearson.
William Eugene Plattner, Carl Richard Plummery, Sam Kelsey Pottinger, David K. Potter, Tommy G. Prince Jr., Galen Banks Pryor, William R. Purcell, Robert J. Quinn, Glenn R. Ramseur, Jerome Williams Reddy, Christian Walter Reither Jr., John W. Remley, Howard Lee Reynolds, Charles L. Richardson, Dwayne Robert Richardson, Richard A. Ritchie, John Roach, Robert Martin Roberts, Dale Leonard Robertson, David N. Robertson. You can sit down if you want. Dean R. Robertson, Kenneth Charles Robinson, Clanton Rogers, Harry E. Roberts, Gerald W. Robbins, Solomon Romack, Dale Robert Rhodes, Gary Philip Rubini, Barton E. Ryan, Joseph Patrick, Louis H. Samuels, William Hardin Samuels, Roger Pennock Samuels, Robert C. Samuels, Jeffrey Allen Samuels, Warren Schmidt, Leonard T. Schmitz, Peter John Reed Scoop Jr., Walter E. Scott, James D. Sagan, William Dillon Seitziger, Charles Warren Schaefer, Billy Shea.
Hosmer Rosamond Sheets, Richard E. Shipman, Theodore Smith, Vernon Robert Simon, Jesse Simpson, Edward Felix Sichman, Lawrence Neal Smith, Alan Byron Smith, Gary L. Smith, Richard A. Smith, Rodney G. Smith, Wayne Lester Smith, Kenneth Robert Summerhouse, Michael A. Summerfield, Jeffrey Allen Sorensen, Colin Springer, Weston J. Stanovich, Rexford Stevenson III, Melvin L. Starr, Jerry Stovall, Harold E. Strange, Walter A. Strange, Manos Fussman, August Swenson, John E. Swenson, Lawrence James Tackett, Richard Ray Temple, John S. Tapp III, Raoul N. Hill, George M. Thomas, Leonard Thompson, William E. Thompson, Frank William Thompson, Roy G. Thrash, B. F. Todd, Kenneth K. Town Jr., Vern L. Trader, John B. Triplett, David Lee Van Cliff, Paul Vanderidge, James Henry Van Hazel, Richard G. Van Hulkenberg, Kent Allen Van Wyck, William O. Vantiver, George Varney, Jack Vickers.
James Emmerich Boyd, James F. Locke, Joseph Bossler, John J. Walker, Thomas Charles Wall, Rileyus Lewis Warren, Ronald W. Warren, Alfred Wassinger, Janice Marie Waters, Charles Arthur Watson, Edward S. Waters, Charles Burton Weaver, Robert Lee Weil, Henry R. Wells, Clifford Wenham, Merlin Lee Wenzel, Eldred John Westback, J. O. Wheeler, Donald L. White Jr., Ross White, Larry Whitman, Washington Irving Whittier, John Stephen Wilcox, Alva Williams, Elvin Earl Williams, Harlan Harrison Williams, Van Q. Williams, Thomas L. Williamson, George A. Wilson, James D. Wilson, Lauren Wayne Wilson, George E. Winkler, Joseph Winkler III, Paul B. Werner, Ralph C. Wolf, Roy Ronald Wolfgram, Daniel T. Wood, William Hayward Wright, Ernest Clifford Yenny, Dare Dale Zimmer, David Gregg Zimmer, James Zimmerman, William Zimmerman, Thomas E. Zirkle,
Just a minute, I'm going to presentation of honors. It's appropriate when playing taps and firing.
Copyright.
You place your hand over your heart. You have a hat. You may remove it.
What?
If it's a bobby pin to
do
your
it.
head,
Gonna do it.
keep your hat on. Put your hand underneath. Honor guard, present the honors.
Did they do it? Is it done?
I'll ask people to jump and come up with the benediction.
Memorial benediction. O God, mighty and merciful, we remember before you in this moment our departed fallen heroes. We recall with reverence the good deeds they accomplished for our country. We honor those beloved men and women who fought for our freedoms with dignity and honor. May they rest in peace. May we consecrate our hearts and lives to our American heroes and to our beloved country. Besides paying tribute to our American fallen heroes, I believe that we should pay tribute and praise to our police officers and firemen for the hell they go through protecting our citizens and safeguarding our cities. We, the American Legion family, and our government, thank all of you today for coming here today to participate in our tribute to our American fallen heroes. All this we ask in thy holy name. Amen.
I want to thank the Cedar Hill team for putting together the property. Looks fantastic. Sean and his guys always do a great job. Also want to thank the Memorial folks for putting up the shade for those of you that got shade. Thank them. There's some water there, please. Be careful not to overheat. Take your time. Thanks for coming out. And next year, bring a neighbor, bring a relative, bring a friend. Thanks for being here.